Greetings, honored viewers. Welcome to a profound journey through the forgotten echoes of our ancient past. For 800 glorious years, the mighty walls of Rome stood unconquered, a proud symbol of eternal power. Yet, in one devastating night of raging fire, the greatest empire on earth was swiftly brought to its tragic knees. Who was this formidable king that finally shattered the Golden Gates? And why did the invincible giant fall? The hidden truth is far darker than the brutal clash of swords. Rome was not vanquished. It chose a final escape from within. The year is 410. The sky above the Salarian Gate glows with a fearsome crimson light. According to ancient historians, this was the night the Eternal City finally broke under massive pressure. Savage Visigoth warriors pour through the breached defenses, their torches illuminating the panicked streets. For the first time in 8 long centuries, a foreign army marches directly into the heart of the empire. King Alaric stands tall among the burning ruins, watching the great marble statues crumble into the dust. He gazes upon the terrified citizens, a complex mix of bitter vengeance and heavy sorrow in his eyes. The once arrogant Roman citizens now flee in absolute horror, trampling over each other to survive. Grand marble temples built to honor ancient gods are mercilessly consumed by the unstoppable, roaring flames. Thick, suffocating black smoke chokes the air, hiding the majestic architecture that once ruled the civilized world. Crimson stains mark the pristine white cobblestones, signaling the devastating end of an era of unmatched dominance. The furious Visigoths show no mercy to the wealthy elites who had oppressed them for so many painful years. Priceless golden treasures from conquered lands are quickly looted, ruthlessly stripped from the altars of the defeated empire. Even the once mighty Roman legionaries, formerly the terror of the world, drop their broken shields and surrender. Alaric walks slowly through the screaming chaos, his heavy iron crown gleaming under the harsh red firelight. He remembers a time when he bravely fought for these very people, sacrificing everything to protect their borders. How did a loyal soldier transform into the ultimate destroyer of the greatest civilization known to mankind? If you were deeply betrayed by the very nation you once swore to protect, would you burn its capital to the ground? Many modern scholars argue that this catastrophic event was merely the final symptom of a fatal disease. The vast empire was already a crumbling shell, hollowed out by decades of extreme greed and brutal corruption. The flames of 410 merely burned away the beautiful illusion of Roman invincibility. But to truly understand the fury of the Visigoths, we must turn back the heavy pages of history. We must examine the tragic decades preceding the fall, where the dark seeds of destruction were carefully sown. Behind the thick, mighty walls of power, the real enemies of Rome were wearing silk robes, not animal furs. The grand foundation of the empire cracked, not from battering rams, but from the crushing weight of its own arrogance. A society built on endless conquest eventually ran out of enemies, turning its sharp blades upon itself. Endless, devastating civil wars drained the royal treasury, leaving the vast borders vulnerable to outside threats. The wealthy Roman elite shamelessly hoarded mountains of gold, while the desperate peasants starved in the filthy streets. To maintain their lavish, extravagant lifestyles, the government heavily taxed the poor, creating deep social anger. The Eternal City became a paradise for a privileged few, and a living hell for the absolute majority. This extreme inequality created a perfect storm, waiting for a single spark to ignite the entire world. Let us travel back to the late 4th century. Emperor Honorius sits comfortably on his velvet throne. Historical texts describe him as a weak and utterly incompetent ruler, detached from the harsh reality. He blindly spends his days feeding his pet chickens, while the borders of his massive empire slowly crumble away. Around him, the corrupt Roman aristocrats host lavish banquets, drinking sweet wine from silver goblets. They arrogantly laugh and mock the barbarian tribes, blind to the growing storm gathering just outside their golden gates. The famous Roman army, once a highly disciplined fighting machine, is now merely a shadow of its former self. Roman citizens refuse to serve in the military, preferring the easy comforts of city life over warfare. Desperate for soldiers, the empire begins hiring the very barbarians they so deeply despise and mock. These Germanic mercenaries fight and die for Rome, yet they are treated as completely disposable tools. Among these loyal auxiliary commanders is a young and fierce Visigoth warrior named Alaric. He leads his brave people in some of Rome's fiercest conflicts, sacrificing countless lives to secure victory. At the Battle of the Frigidus, the Visigoths suffer massive casualties fighting for the Roman emperor. But instead of being honored for their incredible sacrifice, they are completely ignored and cast aside. The Roman elite view the heavy barbarian losses as a convenient way to weaken a potential future threat. This calculated betrayal plants a dark seed of bitter resentment deep within the heart of young Alaric. He realizes that no matter how much sacrifice his people make, they will never be seen as true Roman citizens. When the old emperor tragically dies, the Roman government breaks all its previous treaties with the Visigoth tribes. The previously promised payments of gold and grain are entirely cut off, leaving the warriors to starve in the cold. Alaric, now chosen as king by his desperate people, desperately seeks a peaceful resolution with the state. He begs Emperor Honorius to grant his starving people fertile land to farm and a secure place to live. But the arrogant emperor, safely hiding in a heavily fortified city, completely rejects the peaceful plea. He foolishly believes the starving barbarians pose no real threat to the magnificent power of the empire. This fatal miscalculation would ultimately cost the Roman world everything it had built over the centuries. Driven by absolute desperation and extreme hunger, the Visigoth families begin their long, tragic march. They are not a professional conquering army, but an entire nation of refugees searching for a new home. As they march through the snowy landscapes, many elderly and young children tragically perish in the harsh cold. Every fallen soul deeply hardens Alaric's resolve. If Rome will not give them land, they will take it by absolute force. The empire sends several armies to stop them, but the highly motivated Visigoths crush every resistance. The once mighty Roman generals are repeatedly outsmarted by the brilliant tactics of the barbarian king. Alaric's forces slowly advance towards the Italian peninsula, bringing the nightmare directly to their door. By the devastating year 408, the huge Visigoth horde finally arrives outside the towering walls of Rome. They do not immediately attack the stone defenses, knowing a direct assault would bring absolute ruin. Instead, Alaric brilliantly surrounds the entire city, blocking the river and cutting off all food supplies. The magnificent capital is swiftly transformed into a massive and inescapable prison. Inside the Golden Walls, panic quickly spreads as the grain reserves are rapidly consumed by the starving masses. The wealthy aristocrats suddenly realize that all their shining gold cannot buy bread that does not exist. Records state the situation became so horrific that desperate citizens resorted to unthinkable acts. Devastating plagues break out in the crowded streets, piling up fallen victims that nobody has strength to bury. The dark shadow of doom hangs heavily over the beautiful marble statues, in the empty, echoing public squares. Desperate Roman senators sent negotiators to beg the barbarian king for terms of surrender. When they boast about the massive size of their population, Alaric simply smiles and delivers his warning. According to ancient texts, he coldly replied with a chilling threat. The thicker the grass, the easier to mow. He demands an enormous ransom of gold, silver, silk, and precious spices to temporarily lift the siege. To fully pay this incredible price, the wealthy Romans are forced to strip the golden ornaments from their sacred gods. The mighty empire is utterly humiliated, reduced to paying off the very people it once proudly enslaved. The heavy ransom temporarily saved the severely starving city from total and absolute annihilation. However, King Alaric does not want just glittering gold. He desperately needs fertile land for his suffering people. He quickly sends royal messengers directly to the emperor, offering his strong army for lasting, eternal peace. The weak Emperor Honorius, hiding safely behind the deep swamps of Ravenna, proudly refuses. The utterly foolish Roman ruler carelessly insults the barbarian king, completely blind to the incoming danger. Infuriated by this final and truly arrogant betrayal, Alaric firmly turns his army back to Rome. The furious Visigoths surround the Eternal City for a second time, steadily tightening their deadly grip. They brilliantly set up a puppet emperor deep inside the walls, desperately hoping to force Honorius to yield. But the clever political games fail miserably, and the starving citizens are suddenly pushed to the absolute brink. In the hot summer of the year 410, the furious king launches his dramatic final assault. Ancient legends say that deeply rebellious slaves inside the city secretly opened the heavy wooden gates. They sought brutal, devastating revenge against their cruel Roman masters, who had painfully whipped them for many long years. As the massive iron doors finally swing wide open, the unstoppable, roaring Visigoth horde floods into the capital. For 3 incredibly terrifying and chaotic days, the great city is violently stripped of all its glorious ancient wealth. Countless priceless artifacts and holy relics are brutally torn straight from the majestic, towering marble temples. We now return to the smoking, devastated ruins, where the triumphant barbarian king proudly surveys his ultimate prize. The once magnificent, unconquerable empire of the West has officially shattered into a million tragic pieces. Yet, surprisingly enough, the mighty Visigoths do not completely wipe out the utterly terrified civilian population. Surprisingly, King Alaric strictly ordered his fierce men to mercifully spare those hiding inside the holy Christian churches. In the end, the barbarians showed far more mercy than the civilized Romans ever showed to their conquered enemies. When the terrible, shocking news of the sudden fall finally reaches the eastern provinces, the entire ancient world weeps. St. Jerome emotionally writes in absolute, heartbreaking despair that the bright light of the whole earth is forever extinguished. He desperately cries out, "If mighty Rome can perish, what is truly safe in this unpredictable, chaotic world?" However, the deeply tragic truth remains painfully clear to those who closely examine the crumbling, rotten foundations. Rome was truly a devastating victim of its own blinding pride, extreme greed, and absolutely fatal internal politics. By completely and arrogantly ignoring the desperate pleas of its loyal allies, the state permanently sealed its own doom. The once magnificent, soaring eagle of the glorious Roman legions now lies utterly broken and defeated in the ash. Tragically, shortly after his legendary victory, King Alaric suddenly perishes from a devastating, deadly fever. In deep sorrow, his fiercely loyal warriors bury his mighty body deep beneath the flowing waters of a local river. They remarkably divert the entire stream, forever hiding his vast, priceless treasure, so it can never be found by anyone. With the glorious capital utterly sacked, the western half of the empire rapidly falls into absolute endless chaos. Countless other barbarian tribes quickly crossed the undefended borders, brutally carving up the massive Roman territories. The once brilliant, magnificent light of classical antiquity slowly fades into the cold, dark shadows of the shifting ages. Grand libraries are ruthlessly burned, and centuries of profound scientific knowledge are tragically lost to bitter time. The spectacular grand colosseums and luxurious marble bathhouses are slowly swallowed by thick vines and untamed wild nature. Yet, the deeply fascinating, epic story of the Visigoths remains a remarkably powerful lesson for all modern nations. No grand superpower is truly immortal if it cruelly turns its back on its own deeply vulnerable people. As the dark ashes of the fallen empire finally settle, we deeply ponder the heavy cost of arrogance and brutal betrayal. Was King Alaric merely a ruthless destroyer, or a truly tragic victim seeking rightful justice? Leave your thoughts below. If you thoroughly enjoyed this fascinating deep dive into history, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more.